You have just heard Pour le Piano by Debussy on WNCN Live. Our guest today, Tamás Vásáry. Debussy was born in 1862, and the next two pieces you will hear were composed in 1863. They are Liszt's St. Francis of Assisi Preaching to the Birds and St. Francis of Paul Walking on the Waves. Just notice the amazingly exquisite use of the upper register in the bird piece, and of course the wave piece will be explanatory, I think. The waves are waves. Tamás Vásáry, the artist. What an outburst of ecclesiastical passion. We have just heard the two legends by Liszt, St. Francis preaching to the birds and St. Francis walking on the waves. This is live from WNCN, the artist we just heard, Tamás Vásáry. We're going on with Liszt, if you don't mind, Tamás.
No, not at all.
Okay. Growing up in Hungary, Liszt must have been a hero, is that right?
Yes, every pianist in Hungary is, how shall I say it, educated on Liszt. And really, I think Hungarian pianist plays more Liszt than any other nation. And it is not only that we learn so many notes by Liszt, but very often we penetrate to the meaning of what Liszt was doing, because I think it's very often unjustly Liszt is considered as empty virtuoso composer, which he was not at all. Of course, he used his tremendous technique for his compositions as well, but it is just a means for him. For instance, in these two legends which you just heard, it is really the religious zeal which counts more than the birds and the waves,
yes.
Which of course they are there and they are very impressionistically reproduced, but the technical side is something very, very secondary in comparison with the meaning of the work.
Absolutely. Just at the time he was composing those legends, he was becoming a abbey of the Catholic Church. So he took this seriously, and St. Francis was his favorite saint, and Liszt's religion was a complex part of a complex man. We're going to hear, in fact, the next title that you're going to play also has a religious connotation, in a sense, consolation. You're going to play two of Liszt's consolations, one in E major and one in D flat. And tell me something of these works.
First of all, about consolations, if you put in a program, you never start a concert with a consolation. And so in that way, it can be also always considered as consolation for the piece which you played before so badly. And this is the one. The other meaning is that it's just a name which you found with Chopin so many different kind of names like nocturne, impromptus, and indeed they meant just a short piece, as with Chopin nocturne, generally slow pieces, not all, but mainly slow and meditative and lyric pieces. And Liszt and Chopin, as they were very good friends, very often one's composition reflected in the other as well. Maybe we can guess Chopin was more the pioneer, and Liszt was the man who did everything. He was the radio and the television and the mass communication for. And so when he heard something, a symphony, an opera, he immediately went home and played, and when something had an effect on him, like Chopin nocturnes or other Chopin works, he composed something. So then there are lots of parallels, as for instance with the very famous A-flat Polonaise. You find that in the Funerai from Liszt, which has the same textures in the Polonaise and in the Funerai. So there's a same kind of texture, and here also with the consolation, the number 3 consolation in D flat, you will see that there is an absolute parallel with one Chopin nocturne. This is as the Liszt consolation starts. And that is the D flat nocturne from Chopin. Once it happened to me that I played a concert in Zurich, and I went on stage after the last piece I played, and it was a very slippery floor, and I fall. I has fallen. And so what can one do? I run to the piano and announce that I will play immediately something, because I couldn't leave the stage, I could not make a bow after my fall, so I had to do something. So I went to the piano and I played, I announced the public Liszt D-flat consolation, because that was in my finger. But with my great horror, I noticed that I started the Chopin Nocturne. And I hadn't played it for many years, so I hope that this time I will play the right.
You better stop demonstrating the difference then, or similarity. Right after this, Tamás, you'll be playing, following the consolations, you'll be playing that delicious valse impromptu.
Yes. Well, the work is delicious. And this is a piece, a typical salon piece, in the good sense, that it has the lightness and the happiness to be with friends and just to play after dinner something.
Delightful fluff.
With the champagne and the piano, which is not here. And so it is, this is a typical, nice salon piece, beautiful piece. And that, on the other hand, that reminds us to Chopin waltzes again. But I will not demonstrate anything.
Okay. Tamás Vásáry will play 2 Liszt consolations and the valse impromptu. such loveliness. We heard the E major consolation, the D flat consolation, and you didn't play the nocturne, and that valse impromptu, all meringue. Tamás, Liszt's Rigoletto paraphrase has been part of your repertoire for many years. Liszt must have just gone mad because every time he heard anything, he wanted to translate it to the piano, didn't he? So this quartet from Rigoletto must have been very attractive.
As the 9 Beethoven symphonies and Schubert lieders and other operas and practically everything which came in his way, he went home and played, improvised and played to his friends, as it is written, quite unbelievable. And it is really the atmosphere of after having heard the Rigoletto in an opera and going home, and I think everybody would like to sit down and play as Liszt has played it. And then he put it on paper, and we are learning if we like operas, and I love operas, so therefore I played, but mostly as encore piece, not in program.
What's a 7-minute encore piece?
No, 5.
5? Okay, we'll time it. Tamás Vásáry has just flown in from London to play for us, and we are live from WNCN, and we are going to hear this great artist play the Rigoletto paraphrase, Verdi, Liszt. Rigoletto paraphrase, played by our guest tonight, Tamás Vásáry. Tamás, you have extended your career beyond piano playing. You're now conducting all over the place. Indeed, you'll be in Houston, I believe, Friday, conducting the Houston Symphony. Rachmaninoff told me yesterday that it was hard for him to conduct and to play the piano. Do you ever have a problem with the muscles?
That's true that these are two different kind of bodily functions, but I must confess you that there is not worse than to sit during a tutti and not move, not to do anything. That's the worst thing. So in comparison to that, it's a pleasure really to.
So those Mozart concertos are too long for you. You have to have your arms going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you've just conducted 2 Mozart concertos from the piano, obviously, while you've played them, and the Berlin Philharmonic. One was the Coronation Concerto, I think.
And the other was 449.
Tell me, because you have been conducting and will conduct Kodaly, Zoltán Kodály, in Houston, and I think you just conducted the János Suite in London,
yeah.
And you are now playing Kodaly for us, 3 pieces and the Marozek dances. Is this for the 100th anniversary, or is this even more of an emotional commitment?
First of all, I play a lot of Kodaly, not only in this year, but since I was a student, as so many of my Hungarian colleagues, and I can tell you that for me, the greatest impression which I got from a musician, that was Kodaly. As a musician and also as a human being, one could really learn from him more than maybe from anybody else. And he was our greatest Hungarian composer. Not the greatest composer in the sense as Bartók was, because he was so universal, but Kodaly, Bartók himself said that Kodaly is the manifestation of Hungarian nation. Maybe with other words, but that was the essence what he said. And in this year, of course, I play and conduct practically every occasion when I can Kodaly works. And in Houston, I will do the summer evening, which is one of the less known of his works. And I am very happy because, unfortunately for piano, he hasn't written very many works.
No.
Indeed, 2 sets of solo piano works, Opus 3 and Opus 7, from which I will play, and these Marozek dances. But his orchestra works are much wider, and so one can.
Tamás, I like to tie things in, and I find I certainly cannot resist this moment, and I want to give a plug to our magazine called Keynote, who I hope everyone subscribes to, because the coincidence is that 2 great pianists are in the same room who studied with Kodaly, and George Sándor wrote a personal reminiscence for the 100th anniversary, which is December 16th. George, just stand up. Thank you for coming. How are you?
Therefore, I was so inhibited to speak about Kodaly, because I knew that he is here. And he wrote such a beautiful article.
You knew.
And he plays these works. This is our fate, that I thought at least when I play these Kodaly works, nobody knows them. And then here he is.
Yeah. He has even recorded them
that's
on Candide. Tamás Vásáry will be back and play these Kodaly works, but WNCN Live will take a short break. This is David Dubal with tonight's guest, Tamás Vásáry. Right after these messages, WNCN Live will continue with the works of Zoltán Kodály.
WNCN New York, Classical 104.3 FM, GAF Broadcasting Company. Incidentally, the next program in the WNCN Live series will be on Tuesday the 14th at noon, 12 noon. Pianist Rita Bubolidi will be the guest that afternoon, and WNCN Program Director Mario Mazza will be hosting. Seats are still available for this program, so if you would like to attend, just call NCN 1043. You can call during business hours, like tomorrow, for instance, to reserve your seat. And let's see, on December 17th, Richard Stoltzman will be here. December 23rd, the New York Vocal Arts Ensemble will have a special holiday program. And if you'd like to have a complete listing of the WNCN Live program, simply send a card to WNCN Live. That's 1180 Avenue of the Americas, New York 10036. In the coming months, some of the artists who will be here will include Paula Robeson, the Tokyo Quartet, Elliot Fisk, Eugene Fodor, Mignon Dunn, Murray Pariah, and the Dorian Wind Quintet. That's just mentioning a few. We'll be back to tonight's program with Tamás Vásáry and David Dubal in a few moments. 5 minutes past 9, New York City Ballet time. Special orchestra seats are available for the New Year's Eve performance of The Nutcracker at the box office. Price plus a tax-deductible contribution. For Nutcracker Challenge seats, you can call between 10 and 5 weekdays. The phone number is 870-5662. That's 870-5662. Do you need help in choosing fine holiday gifts? Well, 2 words solve your problems: Seiko and Chateau Jewelers. Seiko has a watch for every taste and every budget. And Chateau Jewelers in Forest Hills has all the Seikos at unbeatable prices. Chateau features the exciting new analog quartz models for modern people. The nice people at Chateau might suggest a day-date Seiko for that elegant lady in your life, or perhaps a sports Seiko for the active female. Chateau Jewelers has Seikos for men, too, highlighted by the new Seiko LaSalle, featuring quartz technology, a remarkable slimness of line, and a style choice for the most discriminating. Truly a gift for the man who has everything. Chateau Jewelers, 7135 Austin Street, also has great values in fine jewelry, crystal, china, and silverware. Chateau is open until 9 every night, and there's free parking and superior service. For the best choice in Seiko watches and other fine gifts, go to Chateau. That's 7135 Austin Street, Forest Hills. And, of course, you'll be glad you did. A reminder, on Thursday, one of the world's greatest orchestras, the Pittsburgh Symphony, led by internationally acclaimed Andre Previn, will play its first engagement in the new concert theater of the C.W. Post Center of the Long Island University in Greenvale, Long Island. This may be the musical event of the season, as the Pittsburgh plays Berlioz' Benvenuto Cellini Overture.
Begins musical offering.
Now back to David Dubal and his guest tonight on WNCN Live, Tamás Vásáry.
We now continue, and the last segment of tonight's live concert, the works of Kodaly. We will hear 3 pieces. Opus 11, number 3, then a piece from the Opus 11 set, and back to Opus 3, I believe. After that, the peak of his piano production, his greatest work for piano possibly, the Marozek Dances. Live from WNCN studio, Tamás Vásáry playing Kodaly. have heard 3 of the early Kodaly pieces, followed by the 1927 Maracek dances. The artist, our guest tonight, Tamás Vásáry, I thank you so much for being here, playing for us at WNCN Live. Thank you so much, Tamás.
Thank you.
The next program in the WNCN Live series will be at noon on December 14th and will be a recital by pianist Rita Bubolidi. Following that, December 17th, you'll be listening to clarinetist Richard Stoltzman. And on December 23rd, the New York Vocal Arts Ensemble, presenting a program of Christmas music. Just to mention a few of the upcoming programs in this series from the WNCN Performance Studio. If you'd like to have a list of the upcoming live programs, send a card with your name and address to WNCN Live, 1180 Avenue of the Americas, New York 10036, and we'll send you one. This closes tonight's program. Our engineer this evening was Julie Elner, technical direction by Richard Koziel, and producer for WNCN Live is Shirley Ford. Now, a few words, and then we'll be listening to a violin concerto by Franz Beerwald. And following that, we'll be joining, once again, another concert from the 92nd Street Y in the Chamber Music Series, an all Schubert program tonight. Avery Fisher and Carnegie Hall are abuzz with those last-minute details now that the new season's upon us. And of course, real New Yorkers are applauding the J&R Classical Outlet. And for good reason. J&R boasts the premier selection of classical recordings from around the world. The symphonic repertoire is given an entire floor to include the most elusive imports, the season's newest releases, all at quite considerable discounts. Having enjoyed Leontine Price and Zubin Mehta's gala opening with the Philharmonic and Von Karajan and the Berlin in an entire glorious evening of Mahler, Strauss, and Brahms, we find the staff of the J&R Classical Outlet preparing for the new season with vigor. Stocking the latest releases, replenishing golden classics on record or tape. They're ready to greet the aficionado or the novice. So, as you greet the new season with thunderous applause, remember where real New Yorkers always go every season, where the classics reign supreme. The J&R Classical Outlet at 33 Park Row, 1 block south of City Hall. The Cathedral of St. John the Divine presents Daniel and the Lions, a new production by the Early Music Ensemble directed by Frederick Rentz and based on the 12th century Beauvais manuscript. Performances will be given in the nave of the cathedral December 10th, 11th, and 12th at 8 p.m., and on the 11th and 12th also at 4 p.m. The tickets are $10, $12, and $15 at the box office, Ticketron, or charge it. For information, if you'd like, you can call the Cathedral box office, and their number is 662-2133. That's 662-2133. If you are looking for a rewarding new job or career in the new year, listen to what people are saying about the John Crystal programs here in New York. Mary Sanchez, Director of Human Resources, says, "I simply cannot imagine any other way of going about job hunting or career planning." Malcolm Tier, president of a financial services company, has this to say: "The Crystal program provides an extraordinary return on your investment." And the John C. Crystal process helped Dr. Harold C. Kinney retire from government service and become senior vice president of a fast-growing computer firm. To find out what makes the John Crystal Center different from any career counseling, employment, or placement service, call 889-8500. A Crystal staff member will be happy to provide you with a no-obligation introductory meeting. Remember to call 889-8500. Make it a really satisfying New Year. Now, music by Franz Beerwald, Swedish composer, his violin concerto in C-sharp minor, Opus 2. Arvi Tellefsen is the soloist. And we must have the Royal Philharmonic this time under Ulf Björlin.